Right, so if you're anything like me about lifting weights, building strength, lifting heavy shit, you may suffer from some pain or some irritation or just general stiffness and soreness. I do get some knee issues on my left knee. I get issues in both knees that come and go. And when I squat, I always squat pain-free. So if there's even a little bit mild pain, I usually stop or I wrap up my knees. And when I wrap up my knees, it takes away the pain. So I always try to make sure that I have really good form, I have good technique. Say hi, Ellie. So I always try to make sure I have good form and technique. And one of the things that I use to kind of help mitigate soreness and pain is to use these Voodoo Floss Bands, which I'm going to show you how I use them. And I use them daily depending on how I'm training. The one thing I do like to do is I like to, well, I mean, my knees don't hurt right now. Well, there's maybe a little bit of, like, mild. Like they feel, I won't say, some people describe it as weak. Some people describe it as, you know, you can't really put your finger on it. It's like my knees don't hurt, but they feel probably sore or stiff or kind of ropey or yucky, or they just don't feel like perfect. Let's put it that way. So if your knees are feeling amazing, or they're just feeling, not, I won't even say sore, they don't feel 100%. So I'm going to show you kind of what I do to kind of help improve some irritation. So I'm going to sit down here and I'm going to show you how I wrap up my knees. And what this actually does, I actually don't know exactly how this works. I just know that it works. And it's totally anecdotal. And Kelly started these are mobility wad Voodoo, they're called Voodoo Floss Bands. And what I do is I take the band and I just wrap it around my knee. And typically my pain is right here. This is where it happens. Quadriceps tendonitis is what it's kind of described as. That's typically where I have it. On occasion, I'll get some knee pain here, but very rare. This is, I forgot what you call this. Some people who get pain in the knee is a little different. That's more of a joint. That's definitely more ligament. When you have ligament pain, like right here, you got the medial ligament, MCL I think it's called. And you have your lateral ligament here. When you have strain there, that's bad. So there's a Voodoo Floss Band might be able to help that, but that's actually a sign of basically bad knee movement. When you have knee pain underneath the knee, you could have some meniscus problems. You could have some issues with the stuff underneath the knee, like I think it's called the fat pad underneath the kneecap. But back onto what I was talking about is just getting the idea of trying to improve basically this kind of stiffness, because you know everyone gets popping in the knees, and sometimes the popping in the knee is a little harder than it should be. It's much more abrupt, like a snapping, and you can kind of hear it. You can't really hear it here, but it's almost like something is catching. So what this does, it kind of helps improve blood flow. Well, what you do first is you wrap up to restrict blood flow. Come here, baby. Come here, Ellie. Come on. And what I do is this is like 100% tension, and I usually about 60 to maybe a little bit over 50% tension. Kelly says to use about 70, but I find that 70 is almost too much. So, and I wrap here. Typically, if I have some pain here or I feel some stiffness here, I'll wrap there. And so you're going to see me wrap this. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just walk around the house when I do this. Or I'll do maybe some squats. It's very uncomfortable. It does hurt. It doesn't hurt like a lot, but it's basically totally uncomfortable. And what this does, it kind of helps bring blood flow to the area, because what you're doing is you're making the area ischemic by cutting off blood flow. And when you take it, and then after you move around, kind of like almost like you're pumping blood through think about like a hose, because you know, like muscles are sort of like a water hose, right? There's water kind of, you know, or blood in this case, moving through the muscle, and then when you step on the hose, it cuts the blood flow. And does it fully cut the blood flow, because some water comes out. In this case, same thing. I'm cutting the blood flow, and the water and the blood is kind of having trouble traveling around. And what happens is when you take your foot off the water hose, the analogy I'm using, the metaphor, what happens is all the blood rushes to the area, which doesn't sound like a big deal or really will do anything, but what will happen is you'll get more blood flow to the tendons. And if you get more blood flow to the tendons, you may get some blood flow to the ligaments. I'm not 100% sure about the ligaments, but I do know that you'll get more blood flow to the tendons. And why is that important? It's important because tendons don't get a lot of blood flow by themselves. They're they're very ischemic. They don't have their own blood supply. So that's kind of why when you irritate a tendon or you irritate a ligament, they take a really long time to heal. Like typically a common one for upper bodies, AC joint, and of course somewhere ligaments inside the knee like quadriceps tendonitis, sometimes in the ankle. Whereas if you strain your pec or your bicep or your quads, it doesn't take very long to heal because there's a lot of blood flow there, so it heals fast. So you can see how I'm squatting, I'm doing some squats, just moving this leg, and that's what I'm doing. So anyways, I'll make more videos like this. If you like this video, please click like. If you have any questions about injury or any problems that you might have, I can talk about them. I have a lot of knowledge. I want to kind of carry on what Kelly Starrett did on YouTube that he's not doing anymore. I hope he comes back and does more stuff on YouTube. He does his own paid site, which is okay. But I mean, I love all Kelly Starrett's old videos, and I still watch them from time to time. And if you don't know Kelly Starrett, check his stuff out if you're having issues with some knee joints or a shoulder or elbow, or you're just trying trouble keeping a front rack position. Ooh, look at that. Freaking, I could not do this before mobility while I was like right here. So, oh, and the last thing, the reason why I have it on, right? And it's still on. I keep it on for about maybe less than about 5 minutes. And I just move my leg back and forth. And I just kind of, maybe I'll do some squats, I'll do some other things, but that's kind of what I do. Thanks for watching.